Vegas at Lions. Review. Let's get to it. First off, we start with the winners, as we always do, because winners win. Okay? And that was my Detroit Lions. They played fairly well today, Sunday. Played fairly well, I will say that. We did have some. It wasn't the cleanest game. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt it could have been a lot cleaner, especially on that offensive side. But it wasn't horrible. It's also the Raiders too, so I'm not going to take too much stock into it because the Raiders are just ass. But anyways, I believe we had around 400 to 500 yards of offense. Basically in every category. I looked at the stats and it was just completely one-sided. Basically the Lions just in every category just outplayed them. It was awesome. The score doesn't really, actually my prediction was pretty close, to be honest with you. It was 14-26. I think I was 17-30. But either way, the score honestly doesn't depict on how well the Lions played. Honestly, this game could have been a 30 burger or a 40 burger real fast. But the Raiders defense, they were not horrible. Max Crosby is a giant beast. Later on that. But we got to talk about the Lions offense. Lions offense, like I said, they played well. Especially Jahmyr Gibbs. That was the game we needed to see. Because he's our 12th overall pick. He wasn't getting much done. It was just, come on, man. You're our first round pick. Make it happen. But he had a monster day. He had at least 150 to 200 yards of rushing of offense. I believe 150 of it was rushing, and then I think 30 to 40 of it was all passing. So, and he got a tutty too, which was amazing. This was the game that we needed to see from Jahmyr Gibbs. He honestly looked like freaking Barry Sanders out there. And I swear to God, if we get another one of him, that just pumps me right up. All right. On the other end, our offensive line was not the greatest, but I also know that our offensive line is pretty banged up right now. Vitai's not in. Frank Ragnow, he had to skip a week, something with his toe again. Jonah Jackson wasn't in. So right now our line is a little banged up. So I'm not going to put too much emphasis on the line. They did well for what they had. Dan Skipper played well, and so did the guy, I can't pronounce his name. I try, but he played significantly well. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the best either. In terms of receivers, Amon-Ra had a freaking day like he always does. He didn't have any tutties, but he had over 100 yards passing as well. That's great. That's good. That's what I expect out of him. Craig Reynolds even had a good day. I think he had around 70 rushing yards and 20 to 30 passing yards as well. So Craig Reynolds, that wasn't a bad day for him either. Okay. But now we got to talk about our defense. Our defense played pretty well. I think Aaron Glenn is starting to recognize when to blitz and when not to blitz, when to put into coverage. So with the defense, I do think that Garoppolo had a little bit too much time in the pocket. I think Garoppolo isn't really if it were a better quarterback, I honestly think it would have been a closer game. Like if it were not Lamar, because he's just a beast in general, but like if it were like, for example, Baker Mayfield or basically a better quarterback, I feel like he would have gotten more throws out. Because I definitely think, yeah, we got more pressure on the quarterback, but we were giving him a little bit too much time in the pocket. Jimmy G was making mistakes. Like I said, if it were any other quarterback, I think they would have done better, in my honest opinion. All right. But that doesn't mean that they didn't play well. Alex Anzalone had 2 sacks. Aleem McNeil had 2 sacks. I think Derek Barnes had a sack. Either way, we ended with 6 sacks, and that is ridiculous. All right. NFL or not, Raiders or not, that's good. All right. That means that your defense is hungry. Okay. Whew. Now, let's talk about our CBs. Our CBs did quite well. Cam Sutton, Tracy Walker. Oh, Tracy Walker had a sack too. Trace Walker, and then I can't remember the other ones, but that's beside the point. Cam Sutton and all the corners and DBs played a good game. Devontae Smith didn't really get anything going, and when they tried to throw it to him, the Lions were in their face, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why is because they had a lot of pressure going on. Like I said, if it wasn't Garoppolo, I think some of those passes would have been completed, especially by Devontae. There was a couple of them that were absolutely like he was completely open and it would have been 6 points. That's, yeah. But like I said, if it were any other quarterback, I honestly think they would have made those throws. But that's beside the point. Lions, they played a decent game. The way they're doing things, the way Aaron Glenn is finally recognizing the blitz patterns, like, it's just good to see. Next week we have the bye. Which is good. And this is what we need to work on. On the bye, one thing that Sunday's game really that really didn't sit well with me, we went to the red zone at least 4 to 5 times. And most of those, we got field goals. That's unacceptable. We need to get touchdowns if we want to win games. We cannot win games off of field goals. I think that is it is imperative that we fix our red zone offense. Because I think with the Baltimore game, and even back in the Bucs game, like, we struggled a little bit. There were a couple drives where we should have scored, but didn't. We had to settle for a field goal. So during the bye, we need to clean those up. That's my biggest, takeaway that I got from this game. Okay? On another point, we're going to talk about the trade deadline a little bit as well. So we didn't end up getting a pass rusher, even though we should have, in my honest opinion. But it is what it is. I honestly think I'm going to send this for a separate video, just because I got a little bit more long-winded. I think we're just waiting on some players to get back from injury, but we'll see how that happens. So, like I said, I'll explain that in a later video, and we'll go from there. Anyways, on to the Raiders. So, the Raiders, not so much. Raiders, honestly, their whole team was Max Crosby. If it weren't for Max Crosby, I honestly think this would have been a 40-burger. That man is a fucking beast. Oh my God. He got a fumble from Craig Reynolds, just freaking ripped it out. I was like, and the thing is it was a fumble. Like, it was a fumble. I looked at it, and, he just ripped it out, and I'm like, damn, that guy's good. He didn't get any sacks, thankfully. Both Jared Goff and the line was pretty good on that one, but he didn't get any sacks, but he did get a lot of pressures, and he was in Jared Goff's face the whole game. It was Max Crosby. Oh, he's good. In terms of quarterback, Garoppolo, he didn't do too well, in my honest opinion. I definitely feel like there were some missed throws, and I think that's something they need to work on. I just heard that Josh McDaniels actually got fired. No, not Josh. Yeah, it's Josh. I get him and Mike mixed up all the time, the Florida coach. But anyways, he got fired, and honestly, that was the best thing that they needed to do for this team, because Josh McDaniels, I've said it multiple times on this channel, is a turd of a coach. He went to the Broncos, absolutely destroyed the Broncos. Went to these other teams, absolutely destroyed them. Honestly, I kind of want him to be the head coach of the Patriots, because I know they'll get destroyed. Because Josh McDaniels is not a good coach. I don't understand how the guy keeps getting freaking head coaching jobs when he's proven time and time again that he sucks. And then you got freaking coaches like there was a coach that was on the Dolphins, and he was actually doing a pretty good job, and he was actually doing a pretty good job, and things weren't for, and he kept getting declined. All right, and he actually, I think he sued a couple teams because like they didn't take him. They went with went with people like Josh McDaniels that have no clue what the fuck they're doing. So honestly, I think the NFL just needs to crack down on that shit. Like, come on, man. Or like the teams need to get better about that and recognizing, oh, this guy is a turd and he shouldn't be here. But yeah, honestly, like I said, the final score was 26-14. My Detroit Lions win. And like I said, it was a solid game from the Detroit Lions. So, but anyways, I hope you guys have a good day and feel the Honolulu wave.